Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. We're your hosts. I'm Sybil Amuti.
And I'm Brandis Daniel.
Happy December, Great Girlfriends.
Happy December. Oh my God.
Can you believe we're saying
it's December.
How did we get here?
I don't know. I feel like I just had Sky yesterday.
I know. This year went so fast. I hope everyone's had an amazing 2016. This was probably my best year ever.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And it wasn't like this year didn't come with its own kinks. It's just that I was so equipped to handle them that nothing took me out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because, there was we had some really highs and we had some real lows, but nothing took us out. We're still standing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. It was an incredible year.
It
like you said, not without its challenges.
Not without its
But
challenges.
it was a great year. It really was. Well, look, we're talking like the year is over. We still got a full 4 weeks to go.
We still do, but 11 out of 12 months.
3 weeks.
Right. 11 out of 12 months were, I'm so old school, they were too legit to quit.
Oh, God, Sybil.
I did that for you.
Sybil, you're like my sister who is stuck. My sister Tara, who is so stuck in the 90s, who said stuff like, and I don't know if this is a universal thing or if it's a Memphis thing, but honey boom.
Oh, yeah, that's Memphis. I think that's
Memphis?
Yeah. Yeah. And honey baby child.
Girl, my sister will pull out a 90s saying in a heartbeat out of nowhere.
But look, the way I just did that, my mom would have done it. Now, Sybil, that is too legit to quit. And she would have thought that was so cool.
She would not, Sybil.
My mom would do that. I can't believe I just did that. That is too legit to quit.
Miss Clark, no. we're gonna give you some new words.
Okay, so 11 out of 12 months were what's the new term? Did they slay?
Lit.
They were lit. They were lit months. They were lit millennials. 11 out of 12 months were lit.
Okay, so for our millennials who are listening, just forgive Sybil right now. Did you hear how she just said that? Sybil, you just stick with your too legit to quit.
Okay, you say it then. You say it the right way.
The 11 out of 12 months were lit.
I said that.
That's not what you said.
What did I say?
The 11 out of 12 months were lit months.
Okay, let me go back. Millennials, check this out. Okay, 11 out of 12 months were lit, man. No,
oh, so much better, Sybil.
Okay, it was better. They were really great months. That's what I really want to say.
Right.
I'm. You know what? I'm sick of these millennials trying to run my vocabulary.
Girl, they try to run it. As soon as you got something, they're like,
they try to change it up.
Nobody says that anymore.
I'm tired of decoding. Nothing is on fleek. Nothing slays. What is sway? And I know here they come on Facebook gonna check me on all of this, but whatever, millennials, because I like my language. It's consistent. It's multi-generational. Okay.
Well, look, I'm committed to staying updated. So you guys feel free to come in our Facebook group.
If you're saying lit, Brandis, they are 2 more words ahead of you by now.
You're probably right.
They have left you in the dust because guess what? They don't want you to participate. That's how they do this.
That's all right. It's all good. Y'all can call us for jobs, though, and references. That's okay.
I know, right? So anyway, girlfriends, we had the absolute most epic, amazing lit time at our workshop on November 30th.
It was amazing. Oh, my goodness. To the women who attended the workshop, first of all, the women, can we talk about the women that were in the room? True bosses.
Seriously. I was so impressed with how everyone was so vulnerable and energetic and connected and honest and just ready and willing to step up for 2017. I felt so good about the participation. I feel so good about the atmosphere and the cupcakes from Cake by the Pound. Thank you, Layla Wright, for sponsoring our snack break. And I just really feel like that was a complete setup for the mastermind that's happening on December 14th.
It absolutely was. And at this point, do we have any tickets left?
I think there are probably 3 tickets left. And again, girlfriends, we're keeping this tight because mastermind environments need to be very tight and intimate so that you can really get the breakthrough that you're looking for. But this one, December 14th, is our first one that we're kicking off in part of the Ready, Set, Go series. And this is Brandis's, this is her marquee event. I'm actually a guest at this event. Because, see, I'm a workshop chick.
Sybil, you know how excited I am about this mastermind.
I know.
Because I'm telling you, they are game changers, women. They are absolute game changers. I mean, think about coming into a space, sharing what your biggest challenge is or what your biggest opportunity is, or something that you need a solution around, and having, 10 women or 11 women actually go around and give you potential solutions and ideas and resources and connecting you with people you needed to be connected with. Honestly, it's like unlocking a box.
It is. And here's what you need to know. What you need to know is that you have everything you need. What the mastermind is going to help you do is get clarity on it. You have everything you need. You may not be able to see it. And so what the mastermind is so powerful at is the mastermind helps you to be able to kind of reallocate your resources in your mind and locate more depth and abundance in the things you already have. Because you'll look at people that you never imagined as a resource in your life to become a resource, and they've already been available, but you didn't have the lens to see. That's what the mastermind is for. So I'm not going to sell any more of it. I'm just going to tell you, if you're going to be there, get ready. If you're not going to be there, I'm sorry. Because I would love to have you there. And if you're not in the New York area, don't fret. We're coming around the country next year. We're not going to put dates out there yet.
Yeah, we're on the way.
We're on the way.
So don't worry.
Don't
Absolutely.
worry.
Well, I am so excited, guys. You know that we're getting ready for our conference. It's not right around the corner, but we're preparing to launch our website, and we're getting everything in place for our Great Girlfriends What Women Want conference, which is going to be June 15th through the 17th next year in New York City. And last week we had the powerful Michelle Thornton on. And this week we really wanted to release, I'm telling you, the most incredible panel with 3 women who we both love and adore and admire for the work that they've done.
Absolutely. So this week you'll be listening to the Love Evolution panel from our What Women Want 2016 conference. Those of you there can probably be cheering at your desk or in your car. If you weren't there, grab pen and paper, like we love to tell you, because Ty Alexander, Nitika Chopra, and Dorinda Walker are going to blow your mind when they start to tell you their definition of self-love and how they've evolved into this new epiphany or relationship with themselves, and how they've grown that out and become more strong and clear on their mission and how they live. So without any more interruption, we're going to dive right in. Enjoy this Love Evolution panel from 2016 What Women Want conference.
We're so excited about our next panel. We were very strategic about this next panel, and before we get into anything, one of the biggest things we have to do is figure out, how do we love ourselves, how do we accept ourselves, because then we can do all these other great, amazing things. So we wanted to, when we were thinking about who our speakers would be, we wanted women that would be real, yes, be very authentic, right, because we get all the other stuff all the time when we go places. And matter of fact, we did that with all our speakers. We were really intentional about getting speakers who would be like Michelle and who would not hold back. Right, absolutely. So the speakers that we have are people who have gone through some major challenges and who have come out of it and figured out how to love themselves. And we've all been through something that have tested us in our love for ourselves. Am I? Maybe nobody else have. Maybe nobody else have done anything. Everybody's done everything right.
It's perfect, right?
But we have, and so we wanted some guests here that could share a bit of their story and that could inspire us all and let us all know that no matter what we've done or what we've been through, we're able to come out of it. I want to make sure that I'm able to introduce our next 3 speakers who are absolutely incredible, women that we admire. I was introduced to Nitika Chopra through Sybil, And she spoke so highly of you. I have been following you since. She has an amazing self-love movement in New York City where she does these events that have 300 to 400 women who come, and has just really been open with her struggles and how she's gotten to a place where she loves herself. So please join me in welcoming Nitika.
I'm Snapchatting while I'm up here.
That's
so,
okay.
Okay, I hope that's okay. Hi, beautiful.
And you guys remember last year when you saw that trend where all these girls were wearing gray hair? Y'all saw that on the streets? Okay. Every time I would see somebody, I was like, they biting off Ty. That is Ty. But that's her natural thing. And I've always admired her from afar for just being her unapologetically. She has an amazing blog called Gorgeous in Gray. And I've gotten a chance to hear some of her story, and it's absolutely incredible. So join me in welcoming Ms. Ty Alexander. Thank you. And this woman has honestly my mom's like, that's your angel. She's been an absolute angel to me. She empowers women in ways that you guys can't imagine and connects women. Like half of the women that are up here today are connected some way through Dorinda Walker. Some kind of way she's connected me with someone and they've connected me with someone else. And so she does an incredible job at connecting women. And I mean, I could go on and on and on, Dorinda. But she's the vice president. I have a vice president title now at Prudential, and she's one of the reasons why we're here today. And Dorinda has been able to overcome some major challenges throughout her life and come out on top. But not just on top, she's gotten to the top and she empowers other women below her. She hadn't just gotten to the top and left everyone else behind. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Dorinda Walker.
And just so you guys know, these are literally all great girlfriend connections. So, I mean, when we say like it is really hardcore great girlfriend, we didn't go calling people that are strangers. These are all people that we have connected through via a great girlfriend. So that's what this whole experience is about, extending that web even more. Thank you guys for being here this morning.
Yes.
We want to jump right in because I think Michelle set the stage in really making sure that we understand how intentional we have to be in starting with us and starting with yourself before you can go out and project anything to anyone else. And for us, that starts with self-love and self-care and being able to capture that. So we just want to start with a basic definition from each one of you on what is self-love. And we'll start with you, Nitika.
Sure. Self-love to me has always been being more committed to my happiness than to my suffering. That's really what it, oh, yes, I love that. Great. But that's really what it is to me. So that can be expressed in 100 different ways depending on who you are. But that's what self-love is to me.
What about you, Ty?
So I shared a while ago on my blog about battling with depression. So self-love for me is a daily action. It's what I choose to do no matter my shortcomings, no matter the expectations that society puts on me. I choose to love myself regardless of how great or good or bad or effed up my day is. I choose to love myself, and it's a daily action for me.
Dorinda?
So for me, self-love is when I look in that mirror feeling good about who I am inside and out. And sometimes it's a challenge, right? But for me, making sure that I'm doing the best that I can do to be the best me. And that's self-love for me.
I love it.
What are some of the, we'll hop right in. What are some of the challenges that you've had when it's come to self-love? And I'll start with you, Dorinda.
Well, I'll share a little bit about my story. As a youth, I was classified as an at-risk youth. Both my parents were drug addicts. I went from one home to another, so I felt like I was not wanted. So I had a real problem with self-esteem, self-love. Coming up in grammar school and high school, I was always fighting because somebody's boyfriend liked me or somebody thought that I thought I was too cute. And I was a victim of attempted rape, a survivor of molestation. And for a long time, I didn't want to be noticed. I wanted to be in the corner, be the person that nobody paid attention to because I didn't want to be somebody's victim. And then God said to me, that's not who you are and that's not my plan for you. You need to put yourself out there because you have so much more to give to others. So now I feel really passionate about helping other women be the best that they can be and not to hide in that shell. Because God made all of us to be the perfect human beings that we are, and we all have something to give to somebody.
Okay, so you want us to start the tears early? Is that what the plan was? Like, you want to just do that now? We could do it. I'm just saying, Dorinda, way to just bust us out. Like, all right.
To cry too.
I mean, Nicole did her work, but let's go ahead. Ty, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like I need to hear
Tell us about some of the obstacles or the challenges that you've had with, embracing self-love.
Okay. I think I didn't really learn how to truly love myself until I got older. I'm about to be 40 in November.
Hey.
Appreciate y'all. It's a struggle. I keep the skin tight. But when I was younger, I've always had this F cup. I've always had this booty. I've always been a curvy woman, and that's a lot to be at 12. So to go out into the world and have men look at you this way, and you want love from different places, and then you find it in the wrong place. So I struggled a lot just with how to love myself and not always seek for that through men because I was blessed with all of this and all of that. Do you know what I mean? So it took me a minute to kind of figure out that I didn't need to wear tight jeans, I didn't need to put on heels, I didn't need to have this or that to be cute or be who I was. So that's some of the struggle that I went through. And then when my mother passed away, it was hard for me to love myself by myself because she wasn't there. My mother was always the person that said, you are gorgeous, you are beautiful. So when I didn't hear that anymore from people, it just was weird and hard for me to function throughout the world without that.
Wow. Hi. Okay, so I would say for me, it's actually very similar. I feel like we all have our own conversations about our bodies, and that's like really where I feel like this is starting for all of us in one way or another. So for me, I was diagnosed with psoriasis when I was 10 years old, and psoriasis is a dry skin condition that can be scaly and flaky and scratchy and bleed if it's bad enough, and I ended up getting it from the tip of my foot to the tip of my head, and I couldn't walk for about 5 years because I had psoriatic arthritis. So for me, it was like my body was constantly giving me this message that there was something really wrong with me and that I was not okay. I didn't have the soft, flowing, beautiful skin that like the Indian women in my family had. I was kind of the opposite of that. And so my self-love journey just came from, again, that commitment, like the everyday action that you were talking about too. And sometimes it's not every day, it's like every second, and that conversation of your body looks crazy or you're not beautiful or whatever, every time that came up, I had to choose a different thought. I had to choose a higher thought. So that's really the biggest challenge that I had with that.
So tell me, I want to get to where, the point where you knew that you weren't in love and the point that you knew you had to turn it around so that you could save yourself. Because it really is a life or death sometimes. If you get too low, you're at destruction. And if you can get yourself out of it, you will turn yourself around. You'll sit here today and talk about self-love. What was that turning point for you?
Yeah, I was 25 and I'm 35 now. And I had this moment where I literally couldn't get out of bed. So my parents were living in Hong Kong, and I had gone through about 5 years of self-help. I had learned about The Secret. I had learned about manifestation. I had become a life coach. I had done all these things to really, try to create this life. And it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on top of crap, It was really not getting to the root cause of what was going on. And I actually feel that sometimes when we talk about self-love or we talk about wanting to make a change, we can actually do more harm than good because we're being so hard on ourselves that we can't figure it out and we can't make that change. And so that was the moment for me. I was lying in bed and I had totally stopped taking medication. I had stopped doing anything Western related to try to heal myself because I believed that I was supposed to fix something that was wrong with me, which was making me sick. which is what they teach you in The Secret and in all these things. And I believe in all that stuff, but there's a balance. So that moment was the moment when I realized, oh, I'm 25 years old and I want to go do anything, and I literally can't walk down the stairs or like put my own clothes on or anything. And I was just like, okay, I think God that I keep talking about every day also made medicine for a reason and also made these resources for a reason. It's not only on me. So that was really the turning point where I finally stopped beating myself up with self-help. Yeah.
Has anybody ever beat yourself up with self-help? Where you try it all and you just keep, you try everything and you end up feeling like you're just unsuccessful because nothing's working. Yeah, I get that. Ty, what about you?
It's funny because when I think about that question, I fall in love with myself repeatedly over the years. There are times when I'm really, really impressed with myself, and there are times when I'm disappointed. So, like she said, there's a balance, and I've learned to kind of, pay more attention to those things that make me happy than those things that disappoint me or those things that make me sad. So I can't really pinpoint, and I don't want to, pinpoint, I don't even want to acknowledge those days where I had breakthroughs per se, just because every day for me is a breakthrough. Like when I wake up every day and every morning and I get myself together, I beat my face, I do my hair and I feel cute, that's a breakthrough for me. For me, it's the really small things that allow me to be Thai, that allow me to service other women, that allow me to service the community. That's a breakthrough for me.
So for me, I think as a 45-year-old woman, what I really know about myself now is that I can't be defined by other people's opinions, experiences, and thoughts about who I should be. And I'm going to share a story with you all that I haven't shared publicly. But when my father was in prison from the time that I was 12 to 15. And I was so happy when he came home because he took me out of my abusive situation. My mother was with a man who abused both of us. And as soon as he came home, he got diagnosed with AIDS. And I refused to accept it. So I never went to visit him in the hospital. And he died on Monday. That Saturday, he said to me, I'm not going to make it through the weekend. And I went, well, how did you say that? And I'm dying. And I refused to accept it. At the time, I was living with my boyfriend. And he said, and I was only 16, he said, you need to go. I was admitted to the hospital that Sunday. And I pushed and I pushed, I didn't want to go. I went, when I got there, he was in a coma. And I felt so guilty. And he died the next day. And I tried to kill myself twice. So I was in a psych ward, and my great-grandmother, who had died, came to me. And she said, this is not, your father's circumstance is not God's plan for you. You don't need to feel guilty. You need to move on. God has a bigger plan for you. So that's when I knew that there was something greater. And that's when I knew that there was a heaven, by the way. And there was a God.
I know, all of us. Where's the Kleenex? We should have somebody with a
Tissue.
Where the ushers? They ain't on their job.
We need the ushers. Can we spend a minute on depression and can we go there for a second? Do you guys mind? I mean, I'll say I struggled with depression for many years. Many years I was in complete depression. I had been raped, had not told anyone, went into a dark 3 years of denial, came out, but in those 3 years, when I would say I was in pits, I was in pits. No one knew I was struggling. My own sister, who I am like thick as thieves with, had no idea because I had a facade and I was really good at it, really good. So to the point no one knew, and I came out of it, and the only thing that got me out of it, honestly, was the grace of God. But so many times people are struggling like that. Dark moments and depression and things, and we don't talk about it because you don't know how people will take it, how will people feel? Will people be there for you? Honestly, do you have the right circle to support you and get you out of things? And you don't know that until you try it, but it's really hard to take that first step and put something heavy on a person and expect them to be there. So, Ty, when you mentioned that you had talked about depression a bit on your blog, do you mind kind of just kind of giving us some of, what your experience has been like in dealing, going through it and
Absolutely.
your friend circle and that kind of
Absolutely.
thing.
So I'll just talk about it on an internet basis. So there was this popular blogger named Karen Washington, and she committed suicide. She was a beauty blogger. She had her whole campaign for dark girls, brown. Who know it? Say it. There you go. So her and I had been communicating only via email about our mothers. My mother had passed away maybe about 4 months before hers. So in the time that she was emailing me, she was, just talking about like different things she could do while her mom was here to keep the memory, recording her voice or taking pictures with her hands, things like that. So I was kind of coaching her in that way. And during the time, I was still heavy into my own grieving. So I was trying to kind of service her, but still self-help myself, if that makes sense. So I woke up one morning. I'm sorry, let me back up. So I checked on her just randomly via email, and I said, hey, Karen, how's it going? And she said, my mom died this morning. And I lost it. So I try to call her. She doesn't answer the phone, whatever. So I sent her this really long email, just kind of, please, if you need anything, call me. I'll come. She was from Baltimore. I was like, I'll come home. Let me know, whatever. Didn't hear from her. Then she emailed me back like a month later, and she's like, I'm okay. I found a therapy, group therapy, whatever that I've been going, whatever. So then one day I wake up, and I'm doing the regular scrolling on Facebook, and I see all of this RIP Karen Washington, and I'm like, what? Like, what is happening? And Danielle's staring at me because I remember the day that it happened. I felt like I had failed her. I felt like into that, to your kind of guilt, like I felt like I hadn't done enough. What could I have done to save her life? And of course now, looking back on it, I realized that I couldn't, that I did all that I possibly could in that moment to help her with what the tools that I had at the time. But in it, it just felt like I had failed her. So I wrote about it. I sat down immediately. I'm a writer, so that's what I do. When I feel things, I write. I wrote this really long post. I had screenshots of our emails. I shared everything because I wanted other women, especially black women, to know that this happened, to know that this Karen Washington did not have to be you. Mm-hmm. So I share it. It gets picked up by Cosmo and all these other kind of things. When I tell y'all, the emails that I got were not encouraging. I got emails from women, black women, you need to go to church, you need Jesus, I'm gonna come and sprinkle some water on you. It was crazy, yes, it was crazy. So then I wrote the next post, all the reasons why I shouldn't have shared that I was depressed on the internet. Because we really are not encouraging to women when they share these difficult things. I can remember even just kind of sharing it with my father, and my father's like, well, just get over it. What's the problem? Why do you even feel that much? Because I'm a human being, and I feel things, and I'm a woman, so I feel even 10 times more than that because I was blessed with all these fabulous hormones, and I have permission to feel. So it's important for us that when people are going through those things that you, simply listen. I can't think of how many times I've been, and Danielle's a good friend in the back, there's been many of times where I've just talked to people and they just listen. Yeah. You can never, if you haven't lost a parent, you can never understand completely how I feel. I can't even give you the words to completely explain how it feels. But what you can do is listen to your friends. Listen. That's all anyone ever wants, going through depression, going through grieving, anything traumatic that we go through. We just want people to listen to us. That's it. And not judge, right. An unjudging ear.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, in terms of depression, I think I can't say that I've ever been clinically diagnosed with depression or anything like that, but the amount of pressure that I feel in my head and the amount of anxiety that produces is something that feels like it takes over me in ways that I then beat myself up for it. I don't know if you guys experienced that, but you know, I'm sitting here on a panel talking about self-love, and like this morning I was freaking out about something, and I was just like, oh my God, how am I gonna talk to these people about self-love? I need to like get it together, I need to pray, I need to listen to meditation music. I mean, I did all of that, just so you know, before I got here. So yeah, I mean, I think it's something I deal with every day on like some scale. If it's not like deep depression where I'm dealing with suicide or something like that, it's just like an intense amount of anxiety where it's sometimes paralyzing, and it feels like, you know, I don't know how I'm going to move forward, or, you know, things like that. And God is really the only thing that helps. It's the only thing that helps. And I don't come from a very religious or spiritual family, but when I was going through everything that I was going through, I could not have felt more alone and more of an outcast in my own family with kids at school. I mean, this happened like right when I hit puberty, which is like the worst time ever as it is. It was just a whole mess. And the only thing that got me through it was thinking and feeling, this is happening for me, it's not happening to me, you know, and that God wanted more for me. And that was, I didn't even really know what that meant at the time. And so like, if you hear that and you don't really know what it means, it's okay. But I wanted to believe it. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the biggest thing. And even today, you know, with things I stress out about, it's like, I want to believe that God has like this huge plan for me, and it's the bomb, and I'm going to be fine, you know? So even if I don't know what that means, just wanting to believe it, I feel like is the first step and can get you halfway there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I'll also add that I think that we forget that loving yourself is independent of your experiences. Like, just because I'm going through something, or I've been challenged, or I'm having a tragedy, like that doesn't mean that you can't still love yourself. Like, you're independent of those experiences.
Yes, I think self-love, I love that. It is non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
We negotiate with that, and
All the
that's what
time.
causes all of these waves and these valleys. We can't negotiate with that. Like, that should be one of our foundations. I love myself, period. I don't care what mistakes, what highs, what lows, what failures, you know, who else hates me or rejects me. I love me, and that has to be like our foundation. That is absolutely amazing.
What advice do you guys have, love that, for people who are going through something now? Like if you wanted to give them some encouraging words, what would that be?
I would say to try to think of the positive things that could be an outcome of your experience. And I know that's sometimes easier said than done. But in life, you're always going to have obstacles and challenges and things that really just hit you in the gut. And I know for me, I don't like that feeling of anxiety and that feeling that fear has over me, because fear is nothing but false evidence appearing real. Mm-hmm. I might be going through something in this moment, but I have faith that I'm going to come through and be on the other side. And I'm going to be able to teach someone else and to give someone else my experience so that they can learn, and hopefully I can help someone else through their suffering. So I think it's really just having that positive mindset and having faith. Because if you don't have faith, you won't be able to get through.
Yeah. I'll just piggyback off you, is that even in my darkest moments, when I wanted to commit suicide and I wanted to kill myself, it was that kind of little voice in my head that was just that faith that I could hear that said that I'm worthy, that I am worthy of all the dreams, all the things I've ever wanted, that I am worthy. And I think that that's, when I talk about self-love, or even when I think about it, it's that self-talk that you tell yourself. And that's when you begin to
have lots of it.
Right, you have lots of self-talk all day, every day. And when you speak of like suffering, that's when you suffer, because you begin to self-talk your way into those bad moods, into those bad situations, into those things that you know you shouldn't be. So I think in addition to faith, and you should really figure out how to improve and kind of use power words around your self-talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, and I also feel like for me, action is a really big part of self-love, because I just feel like I can get so stuck in my own energy, and I can also, I'm a verbal processor, so I call like at least 20 people when I need to, like, I have like my favorites on my phone is like, okay, she's not available, okay, she's not available, okay, I just like need to get it out, you know, I just do. So I feel like for me, when I was, especially in the darkest times of my life, I was laying in bed, unable to move. There wasn't a lot of action that I could actually take. but I had things that I could do. So I made a vision board while I was lying in bed. You know, I started painting my nails like crazy funky colors that like brought sunshine and light to my hands because I literally like couldn't see the sun outside. I massaged lotion on my body and told myself loving things like while I was doing it. You know, so for me, I really feel like when things are so dark that you want to believe in God, but you can't hear God. Like that happens so often where I'm just like, all right, I know you're up there somewhere, but I can't hear you. So I need to take action, you know, and I think that's a huge part of what you can do. If you feel like you can't hear God, if you don't have a strong relationship with God yet, or whatever, just I always tell people, like, find 5 things that light you up, that make you feel that connection to your truth. You know, it could be singing, it could be talking to a friend, it could be ice cream. I don't even care. Like, just find the 5 things and take some action. I feel like that makes a big difference.
And I also add, I think a lot of times we don't feel the feeling. Like I can see you, and I see you feeling it. And a lot of times we don't allow ourselves to cry, to be happy, to like just feel it. Like whatever it is that you're going in the moment, you feel it. You move on, you feel something else, you feel it again. Like that's what human connection is, you know what I mean? And I think so long we just don't feel it, we ignore it, we're supposed to be strong. We are not strong. We're not meant to be strong, we're meant to build on each other, period.
I love that, Ty, because sometimes I think in trying to be so strong, we reject our own vulnerability. If we can be vulnerable with ourselves, let's start there.
Yes.
It's okay to feel it and cry it out and hug yourself and hurt and be in touch. And Shay, you know, to be in touch with what you're feeling and open yourself up to even that, so then we can open up to other people, right? I know in my dark moments, I didn't open myself up to feeling anything because I remembered having to be so strong. And when it just overtook me. I couldn't help but cry. And Brandis opens herself up all the time.
I was about to say, so I can cry now. So
She can cry. She cries all the time. That's her thing. That's her thing. But that's important. And Nitika said something so quality, and we talked about creating me moments. Like having those 5 things that remind you and reinforce that self-love, that's critical. Knowing like what triggers it for you, and you know that it's not so expensive. You're not spending your whole life legacy on it. You know, just being tender to yourself, right? Yeah. But listen, God has your back. God has your back. And think about who's pushing you. God's pushing you. He's pushing you because he's got your back. And then he reinforces it by allowing you to have a conference with women that you didn't even know from around the nation to come together because he's got your back. Like, let it be an example. If he has each one of our backs, we're not special. We're equal in his eyes. He's got your back.
And I also say, like, for me, when I'm fearful, that's when I know I'm doing something right.
Absolutely.
That's when I know that it's about to be big, that it's a big project. Like when I'm really in my feelings and I'm scared to death and I have no idea, especially when it comes to the internet, because when you put it out there for the world to judge you, to see it, to embrace you, to whatever. And you have to be okay with all of that, but know that when it feels fearful, like when you really feel scared, you're doing the right thing. Every day I'm afraid to move.
Yeah, seriously.
I was afraid to come here and talk to everyone. I literally hate speaking in public, but I do it anyway because I know people need to hear what I have to say. I know what I have to say is important. I know by me being vulnerable helps you. So I've moved past that, and you have to think of like the overarching bigger picture because it's not necessarily always about you.
It's not about you. It's
You know what I
actually
mean?
rarely about
It's
you.
rarely about you. To be clear, it ain't about you.
It's really not.
And Brandis and I say this all the time. Everything has to be mission critical. So it's very important. The mission is what moves you forward. It's not about how you feel. It's about how important is that mission. Like that mission has to be so important in your heart and your mind and your sensory that you just do everything extraordinary and wild. And people are like, what is Paula doing these days? Paula's doing some stuff that's mission critical to the world, and she can't abort it. No, yeah, but you got to break out.
But
You have a strategy.
And I was going to say, sometimes you have to put things in place so that you're held accountable to those things. So every single year, I am afraid of doing. something, okay? Usually it's like, I don't have everything together yet, but I need to set a date for HFR. I don't know how it's going to happen, but you have to put things in place. You have to set dates on things. You have to actually put it out there and tell people that you're doing it. Not, I'm thinking about, this is what I'm doing. And you have to put things in place that almost, for me, this helps. It forces me to jump the cliff because I've already put it out there. If I don't do it, I look crazy. So put those things out there.
Can I just say, if God puts the vision in your head, then it's up to you to make sure that you fulfill that vision. Absolutely. Because he wouldn't put it in your head if he didn't think you can do it.
Yeah, it's not there to torture you.
Right.
Like, toy with your mind. Like, oh, this could happen. Like, no, it's there so you can. I know. It's there so you can actually do something about it.
Yeah. We have to wrap up, but I just one quick closing because I mean, thank you so much again for the vulnerability and everything that you guys have shared. Thank you so much. This last little piece is amazing. One thing that you want them to know about self-love, self-care that you think they need to know about what they want and how they get it.
Sure. A little bit of a shameless plug, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I want you to know is that you can't do it alone, which is why this is so incredible.
Yeah.
And I have a big event coming up on Tuesday that Brandis was talking about in the beginning, and it's called the Self-Love Celebration, and I would love for all of you to come. So I can give you more details about that. But the point of that is that even though it's a self-love conversation and you think that you're supposed to figure this out all by yourself because it's about loving yourself, I actually think community and having those friends on speed dial or talking to your community through your work or whatever it is actually probably the biggest part of it. So yeah, not doing it alone.
Awesome. Ty?
I would challenge all of you to, the next time you're in front of a mirror, to say out loud or to yourself or out loud, scream it out, I love myself, period. And however many times you need to say it over and over and over and over and over again until you believe it. And then when you believe it, still say it some more because it's a good thing to do.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to piggyback on what Ty said. Everyone in this room was born with a purpose. And it wasn't to be depressed. It wasn't to be set back in life. It wasn't not to achieve the goals and the plan that God has for you. So if you're feeling down, get in that mirror and just, say positive affirmations. I am beautiful. I can do it. I will, I can be rich. I will help others. Whatever that is for you, just do that and know that if you're going through a rocky time at the moment, there's always going to be a brighter side down the road.
Love it! Woo! Woo! This was absolutely incredible.
Well, girlfriends, this concludes this week's episode of The Great Girlfriends. We just want to thank you all for listening, and especially thanks to our panelists from the 2016 What Women Want Love Evolution panel. First, we had Ty Alexander from Gorgeous in Gray, and make sure you follow her at gorgeousingray.com. Visit her website at gorgeousingray.com. But most importantly, Ty wrote a book recently, Things I Wish I Knew Before My Mom Died, Coping with Loss Every Day. I'm sure that it is a really beautiful read and something that we could all benefit from as we take, lessons on grief recovery. And then Nitika Chopra, her website is Nitika Chopra, NITIKICHOPRA.com. Love Nitika. She runs the Radical Self-Love Movement, and she is a sweetheart inside and out. And lastly, Dorinda Walker from Prudential. Connect with her on Instagram at Dorinda Walker and also on Twitter at Dorinda Walker. She is such a force for good. She was our 2016 Great Girlfriend of the Year. And we just did a recent episode with Dorinda on the money movement that was fantastic. So make sure you check that one out as well. But don't miss this year's 2017's What Women Want, which will be June 15th through 17th. Save the date as the tickets become available. Be the first to purchase.
Absolutely. And I have to send a happy anniversary to my line sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Zeta Kappa Chapter. Our line is Phenomenon. We are celebrating 19 years this year. So happy anniversary, sorors.
Wow. Happy anniversary. That's so sweet. Congratulations.
Thank you. Girl, we're getting old.
You're not getting old. You're getting sharp. You're getting sharp, girl. That's so cool. Well, we can't forget to thank our husbands. Kwaku, I love you.
And Rich Daniel, I love you so much.
Aw. And to our little children, Sam and Dylan, I love your beautiful faces and your spirits.
And to Miss Sky, who is almost off walking.
I can't believe that. I can't. Oh,
I can't either.
it is almost time for your second. It really is.
Oh,
I know. I can't believe I
let's-
said that out loud, but
I cannot believe you said that out loud either.
it's true, though.
Well, I might have an announcement now. I'm just kidding. Keep going. I'm just kidding, guys. If you could have seen Sybil's,
Woo!
that's what you get for playing
I was
like
like
that.
a dude on Maury, right? You see how I froze? Did you catch
I
that?
did.
Oh my
I did.
gosh. Like that brown envelope was coming.
Oh God! I'm just kidding.
Woo!
So, great girl. Look, we forgot who we were.
Okay.
We want to thank our sisters, our parents who are absolutely incredible. Sybil's brothers. I don't have any brothers, but
Yes,
Sybil's
the brothers. Thank you guys.
our
And thank-
nieces and nephews.
Yes, and thank all of you for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter. Now make sure you listen every week on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Republic, Blueberry Podcast Bean, and every other podcasting service. And thank you so much for pushing us over 50 reviews. We're really counting on that one more review to reach our goal of 50 this year. So thank you for whoever that is that's stepping up to write our next review. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you guys can check us out on social, on Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends,
on Twitter,
_Great GFS,
on Facebook,
The Great Girlfriends.
and be sure to join our Facebook group, which is The Great Girlfriends. It's a private group, but if you ask to join, we'll accept you.
Yes, we will accept you. Absolutely. Make sure you post your questions online. You share with your friends. Keep listening.
Keep listening
And keep being a great
girlfriend.
I'm Sybil,
And I'm Brandis.
and we're signing off.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
Sybil, I got you good.